Hey everyone, and welcome to the next edition of the Snapchat. I'm joined today by none other than Cozy Snap. Cozy, it's been an entire month of nothing but mill, red chaos, and a whole lot of fun. We're going to be discussing the cards of the prior month, and you know what? We're going to be held accountable for the calls we made, the stats we gave, the star ratings we provided to you guys, the community, as we discuss each of the cards that released in the prior month and giving our final thoughts, our final reviews. We'll go through the stats. And honestly, I think this was a great month. Surprisingly, an absolutely phenomenal month of Snap, Cozy. What do you think?
Yeah, man. I think going and looking at the cards ahead of time, we're like, these seem pretty cool. And the way they played out, I mean, a lot of them have earned their way into a lot of staples. And I think we did good, but I also completely forgot most of the time, like what we gave them. So I'm interested to see our ratings here. Obviously, Baron Zemo is our season pass card. And it's always crazy to have two cards in the same week. And this was, if I'm not mistaken, was Baron into Red Hulk. Yeah, what a wild week looking back.
Yeah, an absolutely insane week. And it's notable that the week after, no one could even use the Spotlight caches because the Spotlight caches crashed. Imagine that had happened during the Red Hulk season. Oh my gosh. But anyways, what happened with Zemo was that, like, as a season pass card, it was meant to open up a whole new archetype, that disruption, that mill style archetype. And anytime you have a season pass card, we're hoping that it's pretty good. Not only does it shake up the meta, but despite it being a actual currency based exchange, for that $10, it's probably one of the cheapest cards you're going to be getting. Like, if you actually consider the cost of tokens, the cost of acquisition, and the whole, like, it's really cool to see a season pass card deliver the way Baron Zemo did. Now, you and I came in almost identical.
Okay.
I came in at 3 stars. You came in at 3.5, so you were slightly higher. Now, the stats we're going to be talking about moving forward are stats of top 50% infinite at 6K collection level based on Untapped.
Okay.
Baron Zemo running a 49% win rate, but an 18% of the meta. So, honestly, the stats are okay, but it's clearly popular. That might be kind of buoyed by the weekend missions and stuff like that. But ultimately, I think that he kind of landed in an interesting spot. He's not destroying the meta because Mill is like infuriating to play against, but I think he's pretty good.
Yeah, and I remember saying on the video, like, I just didn't see him being crazy flexible. Like, I thought, like, yes, the value's there. Yes, you can get good stuff, but you're almost going to exclusively see him in these mill decks, maybe a couple other ones. And that's kind of what it's been. Like, it's kind of been, he has been more in just those decks, but I said 3.5. You said 3. Are you sticking with yours? Because I think I'm fine with mine as well. I think that's maybe I go down to 3. Maybe go half a point. But yeah, I think he's fit into that deck and single-handedly created it too.
Yeah, I think 3 is absolutely fair. I don't think he's pushing the stats or pushing the power that would warrant like a 4 or obviously a 5-star rating.
Yeah.
I think he's a very fair card that that's activating an archetype that, honestly, if it's too good and Mill is too good, no one wants to play Marvel Snap.
Right.
Like, nothing is more irritating than not drawing cards in a card game because, like, your opponent milled them all. So I think they had to be very careful with this. And the fact that it's pulling the lowest cost card, I think, is important. Yondu being cut from most Baron Zemo decks now as well, which is kind of interesting to see. Like, poor Yondu, pour one out for Yondu. Like, just can't catch a damn break. But ultimately, I think Zemo landed in a pretty good spot. Clearly, it's popular. 18% is popular. We'll have to see how it holds going into the next seasons, where you have, a new season pass card in Blink that's really, really good, and some honestly absolute bangers as we discussed prior. But honestly, I think we did nail it at about 3 stars. And that takes us to Red Hulk, which, as Cozy mentioned, was released on the same day. Now, Red Hulk is, I gotta be honest with you, Cozy, stats are pretty wild. Post nerf, you're talking about a 53% win rate. That's post nerf at a 33% meta share. Now, if I remember correctly, Cozy, you gave me a little bit of heat. You're like, I came in at 4 stars, and you're like, this is the easiest 5 of the month. And you said, Alex, how can this not be 5? And you made me defend my position, and I tried, and I failed. Cozy, you were right. I think this was the 5-star card of the month.
It could be scary to give out a 5. Like, we just did it, and like it's nerve-wracking because you don't want to whiff massively, and obviously we've had ones that we've hit, we've had ones that we haven't. It just, I think, for every now and then there's a card that just screams obviously stupid, and we had a feeling. We had a feeling it was going to be Red Hulk, man. Obviously, it was at 5 stars, still going to be at a 5-star post-nerf, pre-nerf. Red Hulk is clearly here to stay, and hell, he's even synergizing with more cards along the way. Is going to continue to do so. The whole watching him build up thing, I don't care. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't affect my play against him, and it surely It looks like, to me at least, people still don't respect him enough. You can bait switch him out and not even play him, and people think you're going to just do one big lane. He's still that 5-star, man.
Yeah, he's absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And the fact that the stats have held up post-nerf, it's a testament to how good this card was. And I still think back to like your release day video for him. Your title was like literally, this card is going to be a problem. Like it is like, it's true. It was, and it has been. I do think that it's very notable that the cube rate does seem slightly lower, especially post-nerf. And I think it's because, again, it is revealing in the hand. And at first I was like, that was what was holding me back as a 4-star rating, by the way. The idea that it was revealing in the hand, I'm like, you're not going to be able to catch people by surprise with this. Who's going to stay in a game when there's a 20-something power Red Hulk that you know is going to win a location and there's a Pro X in the other one or whatever? Like, what are you going to do? Apparently people were like literally getting hammed and deciding to go 1v1 against this Red Hulk. I don't understand. Like, it surprised me to see that the cube rate was as high as it was and then the win rate was as high as it was. This just felt like an automatic retreat card. If you know that you're going to be going 1v1 against it, like you just lose. You see it there. It's like going 1v1 against Apocalypse. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, right.
I don't know, man. It surprised me.
You're just hoping they play like in a lane that you don't want them. I mean, essentially, I think though, to bring up a good point, I was talking to somebody that's climbing up the ladder and they wanted some advice. And one thing I think though is to be said is like, yeah, he may not be the best climbing card because he is pretty obvious, right? And so like, I'm telling you guys, the quickest way to climb is to get those small but big chunk giant cube games. You can also go by the law of averages and just retreat and do all that with Red Hulk, and you can climb too. But man, doing stuff that people don't expect is so underrated. Red Hulk, pretty expecting. He's obviously has a big like I'm gonna be here sign. And yeah, I mean, but again, to your point, wasn't as detrimental as we thought.
No, it definitely wasn't like as detrimental. I think there are people that are a little frustrated with it because it's clearly extremely powerful. It's actually very notable to say that like I think Red Hulk is frustrating more people than that of Baron Zemo, the card we just spoke about. Baron Zemo milling from your deck and then also using the cables, and even you could Baron Zemo into Absorbing Man. Like there's all these combinations. Your decks, your cards are being played against you and stolen from you, and somehow this chonky ass red jacked dude is more upsetting than that because it's just a straight up power level. And it's made Blob, like, I don't want to say Blob's irrelevant, but like, when was the last time you thought about playing Blob when you could play Red Hulk?
Yeah, I think the thing I don't like about him, this is answering the question is in a way too, is just like, if you miss out on these big power cards, you feel like you've missed out. Like Zemo, you're like, okay, when you lose to this, you lose to Blob was the last one we had before. You're like, damn, I need to get this card, you know? And you're right, he did invalidate Blob. He worked with Blob in some ways, but also invalidated him because it's just an easier thing to depend on. But more importantly, why I gave him 5 in the last time is Blob, you have to synergize the deck around him. Red Hulk is just big, chunky boy, as Alex likes to say. So yeah, listen, guy's going to hold up, man. We could see that even, taking away 2 power. It wasn't a matter of if he would be nerfed, it was when, and we've already seen it.
And the versatility of it, like the reason why Blob you're not seeing and you're seeing Red Hulk is like, Red Hulk is being played in Silky Smooth style decks. Yeah. He just makes he's just a very natural 6 power drop.
Win condition.
Even just the threat of him, as you mentioned prior, the threat of playing Red Hulk disrupts the play pattern, disrupts your opponent's thinking. And you don't even need him. You move Vision, you play Doctor Doom, and like you didn't even play Red Hulk, but they're like thinking about, I gotta play Shongers over here and I gotta do all this stuff, right? So it's pretty interesting to think though that in Marvel Snap, ultimately, there's gotta be one big stick. One big stat stick. It used to be Blob, and now it's Red Hulk. It used to be, back in the day, Infinite. But Red Hulk has definitely taken the reins.
And it kind of, in ways, validated why Alioth was there in the first place, right? Because you didn't want that person who just got the Red Hulk up all the way to be able to win with the one stick. You could just kill that stick, but then you're just doing what they did with the card that people hate too. So it wasn't a great answer, but I got why, because they designed them was probably for that reason. And to punish people. We have punished for combo decks, and that was a punish for kind of big one-play stat decks. But yep, Red Hulk ban, 5 stars, still kicking.
Absolutely. And the next card of the month was US Agent, a very contentious card. Cozy, I came in like straight dirty. I gave this a 1-star card, and people were like, yo, Alex, you're doing US Agent absolutely dirty. This is not a 1-star card. And it came in 1 star. Its win rate was in like the 40 percentile range, like low 40s on release week. Borderline unplayable. Sarah Control didn't even want it. Total disaster release. And then they changed something, Cozy. They gave it a -4 proc on 4, 5, and 6 cost cards. That's pretty damn significant. That's potentially 4 power in a lane, right? Like if you think about it, like that is a lot because it's like it multiplies based on how many cards you're hitting. It's not just like a 2-3 to a 2-4. The power in of itself is now stronger. Cozy, would you believe the US Agent now, post buff, is running a 53% win rate, but only occupying 3% of the meta? Mostly being seen in like those ongoing Spectrum style decks that are starting to make some magic happen.
And the Valkyrie deck as well. Those are the 2 decks that it just kind of makes sense that they're in. And that's why it's small sample size, good win rate, because that's what it's performing well in. I give it a 2, right?
You had given it a 2. I gave it a 1.
Would you bump up to what now?
So this is funny. First of all, we were right. The card was terrible.
Yeah.
Post buff, honestly, I played it in the Spectrum based ongoing deck. I didn't do the Valkyrie one, and I liked it. It was not bad. It really discouraged them from playing that location and allowed you to trade very effectively. It made it so that like even a Red Hulk, you negate that one floated turn from Red Hulk. Like -4 energy is a lot, especially when you're hitting it with the Spectrum as well. I would be willing to give this a 3-star. Like maybe I'd probably lean more towards 2.5.
Okay.
If I could give it a 2.5. I don't know if it's 3-star yet, but it definitely has potential. Definitely gets played later in the game. And I think that now you'll see Sarah Control playing it more often.
Yeah, I'm going to bump it to 2.5, 2. I think what we said, Zemo's a 3. That makes sense. I can't stay at 2 because he got better. So I'm going to go up to 2.5. And I think that's about where he is. You know, you could argue. I think at the end of the day, like even in the Spectrum deck, I didn't love playing Punisher sometimes because, like, again, you're still like relying on your opponent to do something. Same with him. I like more agency sometimes, but he's obviously really good. Like the things he could do now, he has a lot of upside value. And now we had obviously Valentina who had cheated out bigger cards, but Blink is going to do the same. So we're going to have more big cards out there, and the more we get cards that can do that, the better US Agent's going to be.
Yeah, and props to the development team as well in the sense that like this was the second fastest buff of all time. The fastest was Hercules. Hercules was buffed like felt like 4 days after release.
Phoenix
They're like,
Force,
whoa,
Phoenix
this
Force
card
was close
sucks.
too.
Yeah, US Agent got buffed nearly immediately after release, which is good. I mean, that could frustrate people like, yo, Alex, like that sucks. Like, first of all, he still is not like a required pull. This is not the Red Hulk meta shaker, right? At 3% of the meta. But it's good to know that if you're someone who was going after something in its spotlight cache and you inadvertently pulled it, you're like, oh, I pulled this piece of crap card.
Yep.
I didn't want it. And now it's actually more playable. That's a good thing. You want every card that you get through your spotlight keys to at least be exciting to play with. And so I'm glad that they took the approach to buff it as soon as they did.
Yeah, agreed, man. 100%.
All right, our next card that was released in the month of April is not White Widow. Oh, yeah. It's actually Red Guardian. Red Guardian was the next one here. Cozy taking a guess in the swing. You just want to show off that variant. That's why. You
just pull it up as much as I can.
Yeah. But it's Red Guardian. Now, Red Guardian was interesting because both of us came in at identical. You're not going to believe this, Cozy. I broke the rules. I broke my own rules. We both came in at 3.5.
Well, you just gave Agent a 2.5 too. The 3.5 we gave him, man, that is... I was actually wondering, this was the one that I was like, what did we give this card? And I know we were both reserved. We talked very highly on him, but we were reserved because of the passive tech cards that have come out.
Yeah, we both basically said the same thing. We said we're giving it like 3.5, but we think we might be missing low, is essentially what our take was.
What do you land at now?
Oh, this card's 4 for sure.
Yeah,
I love this card. This is an easy 4.
It's a 4 that doesn't need to exist. It's such a weird 4. He's so good, but like you don't have to have him in your decks. Like he is replaceable. He's just super unique and has so much on the line with him and so many different play lines that I love. Does that make sense, right? Like he's this weird replacement card that is also really strong in its own right, and I'm good with a 4 on it. Yeah.
He is the best card in Marvel Snap that you don't need.
Yeah.
Like honestly, that's essentially how it works. He's the best non-essential card, and he's great. Playing him on turn 3, great. Playing him on turn 4 or 5, great. Playing him on turn 6 to turn off their Dracula, perfect. It always feels good to play. Wide variety of decks, wide variety of archetypes. It is so flexible. I've been hit with Red Guardians. I'm like, why is this like? Not forget Surfer. Surfer obviously can play it, but I'm like, why is this Zoo deck playing Red Guardian? It's just in there. It's just in there. And that's a cool thing. You love to see it. So honestly, 4 stars all the way off across the board here. I think that we were right to give it 3.5 stars because it can be hard to evaluate cards in a vacuum. It's not fitting in any one archetype where it completely elevates it, but it has been truly remarkable This has been my favorite card of the season. I want it to be known. Red Guardian by far is my favorite card of this season.
I like how he pairs up with other tech cards, and he most notably gives we say it all the time, the release valve, but in a way for things like Collector. Like, they can start doing interesting cards like that with us now having him, and we have a reason to be able to shut those down. And I know that happened to me plenty this last week with Valentina's release. I was getting Red Guardian on my Collector that I was building up, right? So yeah, really fun card, great card, and a 4-star at that. Glad that he ended up being up from what we said. I think we both wanted that for the card, and broke the mold of tech cards, coming out.
Yeah, absolutely. And it came in at a 53% win rate at 13% of the meta. So the stats do support this card being very strong. Now, Cozy gives you a chance now to bring up that White Widow variant that you so wanted to show off there. We do have the Archer White Widow on the screen here once again, And this is a 2/2 that, you know what it does. We don't need to do that. You've been playing it for the last 2 weeks because it's a damn good card. Now, Cozy, White Widow, both of us came in pretty good, but you were a little higher. I gave it a 3-star rating. You gave it a 4-star. Its win rate currently is running a 49% win rate, which is about 4% higher than the prior week. We did say that was going to happen. This is going to age from a win rate perspective like fine wine, and it too runs a 13% of the meta. Cozy, you gave it 4. What are your thoughts?
I'm staying at 4. I think I'm going to stay at 4. I don't really care about the win rate there on the stats. I think it's just natural as people play it. Just a good card, man. Just a card that comes out and invalidates some other 2 costs, like we've talked about, Lizard, things like that. Cheapest way to clog. Always feeling great to play, late or early. White Widow, man, is just a great core deck build that I like more than the other Red Room Academy card in Black Widow. That's hard to say because she's a great card too. I think White Widow is going to settle well into Snap too. Like, we see cards come and go and seasons come and go. Things like Havoc. We're like, he's good, but no one's playing him. I think White Widow is just gonna be fine here and be included in decks.
I agree. I would bump up my 3-star rating to a 4-star overall. My major kind of fear was ultimately unfounded. I was expecting a lot of these Widow's Kisses to be just bounced right back to me via Annihilus, but that actually wasn't happening. I wasn't finding that people were doing that. They were actually filling the locations, or I was actually kicking back the White Widows. Like, the Widow's Kiss was sitting on my side. I wasn't filling it, and I just played my Annihilus and shot it over to the other side, right? Which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But it has that counterbalance, which I do appreciate. Destroy has not been as popular in the last 2 weeks as I expected as well, which I think gave it a little bit. Destroy is always somewhat popular, but it didn't break like 10% of the meta like it does on times where like Junk and other type of archetypes that take advantage of clogging space, generally they come out and it destroys everywhere. White Widow's been a very good surprise, and exactly for what you said, cheapest way to clog.
And of note, guys, we just talked about all the new cards coming out, right? Let's go through them. Blink is going to be able to change out White Widow for a better card, and you still get the Widow's Kiss. Sage is insane here. You play a 1-drop, your opponent plays a 1-drop. White Widow counts for just single-handedly 4 points for Sage because it's a 2 and a -4 right off the rip. Even if it was a -4, it's a 0, I guess, right? But still, it's going to be a -4 that early in the play. So you got great synergy with Sage as well. Namora, I guess you could, theoretically any card could synergize with that. But that's my point, right? Like, she's going to continue to feast off of some of these cards that are coming out, and I just love the play line that she brings.
Yeah, definitely a 4-star card. Absolutely remarkable. Great release, great design. And that takes us to one of the more contentious cards of the season. One I think was ultimately slept on ever so slightly, and that is Valentina. Valentina ultimately running a 50% win rate at 3% of the meta, almost entirely based in the Loki-based archetypes. But even then, I checked Cozy, and it's a little sad. Valentina is not breaking the top end of Loki decks. Currently, Loki decks without Valentina are overperforming the Valentina editions, which is kind of surprising to me because I don't mind the card. Yeah. But anyways, Cozy, I came in at 3, you came in at 2.5.
Yeah, so I was a 5-star for fun is what I said, and then I gave her a 2.5, and I'm still about there. The thing is, again, I made the video for Marvel Snap's channel, so I got to play with her early, and I kept playing with her, and I'm like, this is great, and there's times where I love this, but this is the card that you could have easily made a YouTube video look really good, and then it's because you picked the games where she got good value. I played a lot of her, and I just felt like there's more games that was like great, but also not so great. 5-star for fun. My favorite card to release this month because of just I just love the play style there. Obviously, she obviously works in Loki. The stats, again, I'm not really caring about. I want to see that kind of edge. I want to see a month from now kind of where that edges out to as people get used to it a bit better. My favorite thing that people just were not talking about early in play here, everyone was saying Luke Cage. The first day she came out, I was like, guys, Shadow King's the play. I loved the synergy with Shadow King and the 6-cost card. It was really unique. You have an offense and a defensive card. But yeah, Valentina, if you get good draw, she's killer, and she has a lot of upside. Her ceiling's one of the best, but she comes with a risk.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason why I am been including her in my Loki decks is because exactly that. You play Quinjet on turn 1, Valentina turn 2, and a turn 3 Magneto that's a 9 cost or 9 power, I should say. You can't do anything about it. I think it's great. I honestly think it's great. It's and then you get to play your Mockingbird at basically 9 power as well. So I do think that the Valentina has those really high end swings, and when you get the APOC and you get the random ones that you don't want, you're able to just Loki them away. You get that hand generation, right? So I do think the card is, I think, a little underappreciated right now.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people skipped on it. I think the week as a whole was just not that enticing. I think this was one of the weaker ones. But this card has a ton of dials, right? So maybe they make it so that maybe it's -2 power on the 6-drop, right? Because although it's performing okay, it's not exactly exciting. So, would you think Valentina is a potential buff candidate, or do you think it's just left the way it is?
Again, I want to see her settle in a bit more. I think on the release I said that I'd prefer Cable, and I stick by that so much. I've seen a lot of conflicting stuff on that. At the end of the day, I don't care if it's a little more random. You're taking a card from your opponent. You're stealing that. You're getting information.
Yeah.
The upside tends to be a little bit better because they've planned on that, right? You're hoping for the Doctor Doom, the Magneto, but in this case, you've got even a tech card that they're hoping for, or a combo piece that they need, or their best card in their deck. So I do prefer Cable, but obviously I think Valentina is right under that, and I like her over, even tech cards in Loki. Which tech cards are good in Loki, but I liked what she brought into the momentum.
That's fair. So we're going to settle in at about 2.5.
Yeah.
A little lower end on the scale there, which I think feels completely fair. And that takes us to our next point of discussion, which is the state of the meta. This is something that we haven't done in a bit. Just a general conversation, discussion about where the meta is in Marvel Snap, what the game feels like to play, and how the meta has been shaking up over the last couple of weeks. Cozy, I'll give you the floor to get us started here. How's your experience been with the meta in Snap?
So it's interesting. I feel like the meta is really good. The meta's at a great spot. If you've been playing the game a good amount, you can testify to it. There's a lot out there that you can play. There's only a couple decks that frustrate people. Off the top of my head, I would say maybe Hela, Mill, and Junk with Annihilus are the main offenders these days. However, you got 3 decks sharing the load, not just one. But it's interesting because as fun as the meta is, I think people are wanting more out of the game, and it makes sense. I agree with you guys there. I think, again, great core product. It takes time to develop things, totally understand, but we are at a point where we are coming up on the year lapse from Conquest. We have to get some new things pumped into the game, and I think that's an overwhelming sentiment of a good amount of people. So meta's great. Game, I'm not going to use the word stale, but people want more from that.
No, absolutely. I think you just absolutely nailed it. The fun factor of the game is still there.
Yeah.
The balance is the best it's ever been. We have very few outliers in terms of outright performance. Red Hulk was the most recent example of a card that probably was an outlier. If you actually think about the most recent releases, outside of the Hope Summers was a very, very strong season pass card, but it didn't shatter the game the way Loki did. They've been exciting cards, and they've generally been spot on. Red Guardian, for instance, is a great, perfect release. They miss a little low on US Agent, but Valentina's probably just right, maybe slightly low. But they've been releasing this steady cadence of just good cards. And I think that makes the game exciting, because you kind of want to experiment with all of them, but none of them are legitimately game-shattering. I think right now we also have the greatest array of different successful potential decks. We're in a meta where you can win with Galactus. We're in a meta where you can win with Annihilus-based decks. We're in a meta you can win with Bounce. You can win with On Reveal. You can win with Cerebro. There's a ton of different approaches to the game right now, and I think that's healthy.
Yeah, I mean, and it's worth saying Zabu and Eliath, that era being gone is showing. It's showing that there's way more creativity out there, kind of like when Chavez got kicked from the game too. It was like an evil that needed to happen in a sense. Yeah. To the card design, release, and balance team, I still give them 5 stars. I think they're killing their job there. I think the designs have been great, all of that. And, the way I look at it, though, is for me, if I wasn't doing, I'm just trying to do a lot of fun videos, and doing, I did the Ass Avengers with Red Hulk or an Agatha challenge. That's what keeps it fresh for me. But for the casual player, they don't care about climbing past 100. They don't, even if they don't get, we just need to bring some from them. Hopefully Clans delivers on that. And again, excited. I'm still on this. I think Deadpool is the biggest thing to happen to Marvel in years, and I think they're going to capitalize around that. And I think we have a steady, big increase from Clans to good releases to ultimately game mode in July. That's my guess. I don't know anything, guys. That's my guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely good. Yeah, we don't know actually anything, to be honest with you. But I would expect maybe like the next month or two, the Clans or Alliance system does come out. And then you're looking at summer for a major game mode to launch. I think that'd be good timing because we do need it. We need some sort of inflection of excitement around Marvel Snap. Because as you said too, like the casual audience, if you're listening to this right now, there's a good chance you're a little casual, but there's a good chance you're actually one of these staple hardcore players of Marvel Snap. And, we're used to grinding for currency. We're used to playing our missions through every day so we can get that card acquisition, collect those keys. But the average player who's just trying to stay on top of the game and play for fun probably finds the release schedule intimidating, finds 5 new releases season pass intimidating. They can't play all these cards coming out at once. So I think the game mode that needs to come out needs to cater to that casual player, keep them in the game, allow them to acquire resources to, get cards that they can play in constructed. And by constructed, I mean like ladder and whatever, right? So maybe this, whatever game mode it is, maybe it has to be a draft-based game mode. Maybe it has to be kind of like one of those auto battler drafters or something like that, where you don't necessarily need a full collection to participate, and it can feed you into the main game, so to speak, the main collection track. Because I'm just really concerned if there's a new player that's getting to the game, like they get in on that Deadpool, like it's so hard. Like talk about a hill to climb.
You would need a massive surge of new players for it to feel correct. Like if it, because then like they're gonna be screwed, to your point. And yeah, it's listen, like they just did like the frames that you can buy and whatnot. And like, listen, we toted the horn a million times. We want them to come out with things that are visual, skins, upgrades, if that's how they want to make their monetization. I think, though, we've talked about this before, it's a flavor check. It's like, it's a touch base with how the community is. It's like, great, but when you are releasing that you don't have a patch, you don't have it, whatever, like that's when it's like, all right, we respect that features take a long time to get out, but we're having these, different things where we are having the option to spin gold or whatnot happen. And that being said, we got the custom card thing, and I totally get that. I just want to see them focus on new players, and I want them to focus on players coming back as well. The game's healthy, man. I looked at stats. The game's still extremely healthy and every which way. Revenue. Heck, one of the games I covered during COVID, it was one of my first games ever, just shut down. It's done forever. So like games do die out if you don't, get the monetization wise. But I think the game's healthy. The player base is, the revenue is. So it's like, great, let's feed into that and really kickstart it when Deadpool comes around.
Without question. I do think there's a couple things that could really help the meta. Just want to give a couple points of feedback. Number one, we need to see more events like the X-Men and Avengers event. Yeah. I loved it, right? And it's such a non-committal way to break the game a little bit, right? The unbalanced patch type idea, and just say, okay, guys, for the next 2 weeks, like, X-Men, Avengers, and like, that's cool. I love that. I really do hope they bring that back. I had so much fun doing that. And there's so many different, like, you can have villains and heroes. There's all these different ways. Marvel is so extensive, right? It's so extensive. You can find ways to kind of improve it. What if they just make like a Cerebro week or something like that, where Cerebro is absolutely well? I don't know. There's a reason why I'm not a game designer. And one other thing I want to talk about, Cozy, I got to bring it up when we talk about the meta and my enjoyment of the game. If I'm wrong, call me out. I hate hot locations so much. It's come to the point where I'm like, I just don't want to stream on the day there's a hot location. Like, if there's a hot location, I just don't want to play Marvel Snap. I am so sick of hot locations. There has to be a better way. There has to be a better way for them to increase engagement and make the meta shift a little bit than these hot locations. They're so cringe. I can't do it anymore.
I just don't think we need them. Like, to me, listen, I love the team over there, guys. You guys do great, but I feel like this is a stuck in old ways feature. Okay, because I think the initial reason behind it was we want to encourage people to change up decks. But what happens is that it's just one deck that ends up being the only thing you see, and it actually kills creativity massively. I especially hate as a content creator, because when I'm showcasing a card, I don't want to see the same locations 10 times. That's going to usually benefit the new card, right? Like most of the time. So that's also annoying as well. and that's, I guess, featured over whatever. But either way, I agree, man. I just don't see it. I think you kill it. Bring in new locations. Great. You can maybe fudge the numbers a little bit, make it a bit more popular for a week of release, or maybe all the locations that come out have all a little bit of an increased thing to get people familiar. I think that's maybe why they did these, is like so people know these locations when they come out. But yeah, dude, it's just like I don't really know a lot of people. I thought like for a while, I'm like, maybe it's just me who hates this, right? I think it's the large community resentment. And tell us below if we're wrong. It's just kind of like, damn, I don't want to play this week or this day or whatever. I get it, yeah.
Do you know how depressed I was when I went to go to do Twitch drops? And I'm like, I'm going to be playing for like 24 hours straight. And it was a hot location.
Yep.
Do you know how heartbreaking that is as someone who's going to play Marvel Snap for 24 hours? That you got to stare into the face of a hot location that sucks, by the way. Like you said, okay, get them used to the location. All it does is make people hate the location.
Yeah, no, dude.
Like whatever location it is, you play it nonstop, you hate it. You
Bro,
know what I mean?
Yeah, and I told you I did this. I helped host this like Samsung tournament in New York, and they had a freaking hot location of Altar of Death. You had 50,000 new players playing this tournament with Altar of Death, and they're like, hey, sir, they're raising their hands. I come around. Why are my cards dying every time I play them into this location? And it's like, what is energy? Like, dude, it's just comical. It's like, it doesn't help the game. I agree.
I just hate hot locations so much. I just hope they can go to the wayside. More of those X-Men style Avengers events. No more hot locations. I honestly, there's enough locations in the game. We can stop adding locations. I'm kind of over it. Like,
now, I do like new locations, but I think if they do the X-Men thing again, the only thing I want to see, like these unbalanced packs, which I think the client needs it. This is such a small gripe, guys, but the loading splash screen, it is time to change this damn chibi Galactus. Like, I'm ready for a new splash screen, and the reason I bring this up is just a UI change a little bit. I think that if we do these unbalanced changes in the deck screen and somewhere maybe even in the battle, there's a top. We need to be reminded what the changes are. Like, if it's villains and heroes, easy stuff. But if you're coming in and, again, casual player, you're on, work was easy, you're on the phone. And all of a sudden, dude, someone's playing like a Vision and then Scarlet Witch. And the Vision goes up by 2. You're like, what the hell? Did he get patched? Like, we need something that's kind of, reminding players. And I think if that's fixed, then people are going to enjoy those a lot more too.
Absolutely. And Cozy, that takes us to our Snapchat mailbag. Listen, this week we've got some absolute fire questions. I cannot wait to ask you these questions because you know what? It's funny. Last week we were a little loopy. And people were like, yo, Alex and Cozy got a little loopy, a little late in the night. And, I think the questions were funny. The answers were funny. Well, you guys think we're the only ones that get loopy? Well, sometimes the audience gets loopy too. So we're going to be starting off a little straightforward. Let's get a little warmed up here, Cozy. DM5 asks, hey, Cozy and Alex, if either of you were able to have powers or skills of any Marvel character, which one would it be and why? I would also like to ask, if you could spend a day with any Marvel character, who would it be?
This is a good one. You start. Give me a second here.
Okay, if I could spend a day with any Marvel character, I would spend a day and a night with Arrow.
USOB. I would spend a day and a night with Cable, so he could kill you for taking Arrow from me, and then I would take Arrow. That would be my ultimate. I thought you were gonna do that. I was going through a list of people. Arrow was definitely towards the top. I was waiting for you to say Jeff the Baby Landshark. I was waiting for you to, but why say that when you could snipe my girl?
Yeah, buddy, of course. It's Arrow all day and all night, baby. That's
I feel like this is the dinner conversation where it's like, it's like who would you want to invite to a dinner, and you like try to have like a fun person. You got like Gandhi in there. It's like, man, I would have different people, different strokes for different folks. You know what I mean? Like maybe get Morph in there with his trumpet. And then maybe I'd have White Widow there. Maybe Arrow would show up. I don't know, Scarlet Witch. But I would definitely you would have to have like, who would be your like fun? Like you want to hang out, you want as your best friend.
Okay, honestly, dinner party wise, I would love to have Magneto there because you'd be like, yo, screwed up. And he'd just be like this and just like ruin everyone's cutlery. And everyone's like, great, now we can't eat, man. Thanks.
Cut my beef. Yeah. Like, man, cut my steak for me. And he's like, damn it, this is not why I do this. He's like, picks up the thing. Okay, Magneto. Yeah, I like it. I think Star-Lord is a must. Hanging out, getting great jokes. And the Deadpool, obviously, too, man. Like, again, we just rewatched Deadpool 1. And you can't even think of your favorite line in that movie because there's just non-stop coming at you from Ryan Reynolds. And Ryan Reynolds would appropriately be at my dinner party, so I would put Deadpool, too.
Pretty cool, pretty cool. In terms of powers, I think I would take Loki's. Loki feels like you can have the most fun with it. He can kind of do anything, right? Like he can shape shift. He can just make like shit happen. Like he'd be like, oh look, I have a goblet of fire now. It's actually on fire. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. He can transmog things. He can, I don't know. I can't even think of the words. He can do kind of everything. He's very multi-talented mischief maker.
Yeah, dude, Loki's a good one. I feel, yeah, it's like you can't really go wrong with anybody's power. They're all just freaking sweet. Like Morph is kind of cool. Again, I said Morph again, but I do think Morph's pretty sweet. I think though I'm gonna be classic. I'd go Spider-Man. I just like I wanna swing on the ropes of the city, and then you can like kind of blend in. You know what I mean? Some people is like you're screwed if you have their power.
Okay, which of the 3 Spider-Men though?
Ooh, Toby.
Toby? See, I'm more of a Garfield guy.
You're a Garfield guy. I get that I look like Andrew Garfield a lot, but I'm a Maguire guy. I'm a Toby.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It was nice to see them all get together for that one movie.
I like
That's
Holland
pretty
too.
damn cool.
I think Holland did the character different, which I liked.
Yeah, I did too. I thought those movies were actually really upbeat and fun, which I think was nice. That brings us to our next question, believe it or not, because Unskilled Arcanid asks, bring back the old Spider-Man. What's the worst that can happen?
Oh my god. I can't even think of like cards that would re-synergize with that thing, but probably devastating. If you didn't know what Spider-Man used to do, he would just lock down the lane. Really cool VFX. He would lock down the lane so you could play it into the next turn. There's so many different ways that would be horrible now.
Yeah, there's so many additional cards, and people would find ways to break it. As it was, you had like the Zabu into Spider-Man Absorbing Man, and like they literally couldn't play in 2 locations. It was absolutely miserable. What a terrible time to be a Marvel Snap player at those couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Like the team was like, "Yo, we got to fix this like now." People literally can't play the game. Like it's so stupid.
And now we have Iron Lad, which you could do it early. At Blink, they could switch out the Spider-Man to go into a 6 cost, but it shut the lane down. You go into Doctor Doom and win that lane. It'd be some stupid stuff.
Yeah, I think we're not going to see that card design quite yet, unless we get more Jeff the Baby Landsharks, to say the least. Question number 3 comes in from Troy, and it reads, with both Alien and Predator getting their own Marvel comic book series, do you see them being introduced into Snap?
Well, this is interesting. The thing is, yes, but also no. I feel like there's so much Marvel characters they're going to hit first. Like, just so many. That being said, do I want there to be? Oh, yeah. We just had May the 4th, man. And I was just like, man, a Star Wars Snap would be so freaking sweet. And I think bringing in some IP like this. Listen, if Overwatch can do it, which Overwatch is notorious for having their own like world and lore and not having things from the outside, they're doing like One Punch Man and they're having their cards. Hey, Snap can do it too.
Can't you be Goku in Fortnite now?
Dude, you could be Darth Vader with Peter Griffin with Goku. Yeah, you get it all now.
Yeah. Also, like if there is a Star Wars card game, I don't know if you knew that or not.
Yeah, but Snap style, you know.
Yeah, actually fun, you mean?
You dogging on Unlimited, the one that I beat you in?
Yeah, I'm dunking on it.
You are like full Lorcana now, huh? Who's your favorite?
I'm surrounded by Lorcana.
Who's your favorite Disney character? Randomly.
My favorite Disney character?
Yeah, just one.
I don't know. Iron Man.
No, not Marvel. The like Disney, like Lorcana Disney.
I know, I was just screwing with you. I was just trying to buy time there. I mean, okay, favorite. I would lean towards Hercules. I really like Hercules.
Okay. Yeah, it's a tie. Mine's easy. It's Genie or Baymax, but I think Genie's the top. It's got to be
Baymax.
Dude, I have him.
Oh my gosh, from Immortal. Yeah.
Immortals.
Okay,
yes.
That's the song, I haven't seen that movie yet.
Oh, Big Hero 6, dude. Okay, so this is always my and I can go into another reason why I have this tattoo. I'll explain. In fact, no, you know what? I'll spend the time now. People ask all the time. Long story short, guys, back when I was doing variety content, I was in like Ludwig's community. I did a competition with him. It was great. Me and my wife were trying to have children for a long time. We could not for about 2 years. I did a subathon where I wouldn't turn off the camera at all, even when I was sleeping, until I was able to, I was going as long as people were willing to help fund what we need to do for infertility. Long story short, guys, I put a couple goals on there, and I was like, haha, wouldn't it be funny if I went 2 weeks long, and that would also in turn pay for the entire procedure. I'll let my viewers pick assortment of different tattoos and whatnot. And long story short, I went more than that. I went more than 2 weeks live on camera. It was nutso, and it created my son today. And it's a powerful reminder and of that, and it's really cool. It's actually supposed to be Squirtle. Long story short, but the artist messed it up. Went with something a little bit easier in Baymax, and that is why I have it. But yeah, anyway, I was gonna say, man, Big Hero 6 tanked because it came out, I believe, in the same month as Frozen.
Really? I didn't know that. I've never seen the movie before.
Good.
Wait, do I have to watch that like tonight?
It's straight up good. Like, you can watch it with the kids, and you'll watch it and be like, wait, this is just a funny and good movie. I love it. It's phenomenal. It's definitely like my pecking orders, like Lion King, Aladdin, Moana is extremely high, and then I would say,
oh, I love Moana so much. I think Moana is like one of the best Disney movies they've ever done.
best since the Renaissance days. Yeah, in my opinion. But I would say after that would be Big Hero 6. I think it's phenomenal.
There's a scene in Moana right at the beginning when she's a baby and the ocean's leading her in with the little shells.
I watched it.
Where like the water splits.
Hey.
And there's a turtle that kind of flows across. It's such a beautiful scene.
My wife is gonna love this.
It makes me tear up every time.
We watch this scene with my son all of the time. It's called Moana Meets the Ocean. It's the exact same scene he just did. I don't know why he loves it. He finds it calming, I guess. Long story short, though, I'm always like, he just is now saying no, right? Like, he's learning no, and he doesn't know why he's saying no. And the turtle, and the turtle was going by, and I was like, hey, wave to the turtle. And he just looks at me, and he's like, I'm like, okay, screw the turtle. Don't wave to him. But yeah, beautiful movie, beautiful scene, and it was a fun question.
Cozy, now, as I discussed prior, last week, we had a lot of comments about us being a little loopy. Sometimes it's our audience members that get loopy. Sometimes it's you guys in there getting in the comments and asking us questions and demanding a response. Some responses feel impossible because, like, quite frankly, we don't even know what you're asking. So question number 1 of the drunken questions comes in from user MN2JP7KK2J. Yes, that's their name. I get a high win rate with my Master Blaster deck, and you wouldn't believe the cards there. Cozy, my question to you, who is Master Blaster, and what's that deck look like?
I'm pretty sure Master Blaster is one of two things. A, it's an R-rated film, or B, yo, did you grow up in the era of Super Soakers?
Yeah, Super Soaker 50. It was green.
Oh, like I was like big on water guns. I feel like the Master Blaster was the one with the backpack, and you would just like all the kids would have like their one, and you'd be like, hey bitches, and you just like you had it on. I have no idea what this is. I feel like it's a trap.
It's not a trap. I was trying to figure out like who Master Blaster could be. Could it be Master Mold?
Master Blaster. The more I say it, the more I question it. Could it be Mold? I guess you're just saying it's a master deck. Do we even have the answer? Or is this just pure speculation?
Dude, that is just there's no response. There's no follow-up. That's it.
Yeah, this guy was
I get a high win rate with my Master Blaster deck, but you wouldn't believe the cards there. Didn't even provide the list.
Guys just shooting it out to the ether. Just like, screw you guys. I got Master Blaster, 100% win rate. Dude, I'm going to go Iron Man because he blasts things.
Iron Man? It can't be Iron Man. Master Blaster versus Iron Man. There's no way someone confuses Iron Man with Master Blaster.
What the hell is Blaster part of it too? Like, if you go guns, it's like everyone has guns in this game. Like, there's so many freaking guns. Hitmonkey, Blade. You're not playing a Blade.
Han Solo.
Now we're dipping into the other games too. This is great. Our fantasy Star Wars Marvel game. Okay. All right. Han Solo's in the deck.
I got one more question. One more drunken question. Okay, Cozy, listen to this. From Steve O. It reads, this is verbatim. Question, mailbag. How Cozy and Alex stated all this super internet combo?
One more time. Sorry, I think I had a stroke.
Question, mailbag. How Cozy and Alex stated all this super internet combo? Cozy, you're up.
I think one of two things happened. Number one, he was playing Scrabble, and he just was like, okay, I'm just going to pull letters out and just put it together and put Cozy and Alex. Number two, is this the dad from the cigarette run that came back finally? Like, there's got to be just... Oh. This is the story.
Steve-O's the dad.
This is him.
Finished the cigarette run, but he's just too inebriated. He can't find his kid.
No idea. Yeah, so he went here and said that. What I think it says we're a decent internet... What did it...
I think he's trying to ask, how did we start this fantastic internet combo? Is what I think he's asking. But Steve-O he finished the grape juice, like right down to the bottle, right through the bottle. So... how did this all start, Cozy?
I'll answer it how he typed it. Alex, met, Snap, good friend, ship.
Thank you so much for watching, guys. That's it for this week's episode of the Snapchat, and we'll see you on that next Snapchat episode.